After what seemed like a very long wait, the Leatherman Wave Alpha has finally arrived. It just arrived today. And I have to say that I think it was worth the wait. Seems like a very cool tool. And I want to talk about 5 huge changes that the Leatherman Wave Alpha brings. First 3 will be positive, and then I do want to address a couple negatives of this tool. Now, this tool is $200, and one of the other things we'll talk about later is the pocket clip. All right. Now, first things first, the frame design in the G10, I think, are huge changes to this tool. So right out of the box, at least visually, it looks a lot slimmer than the Leatherman Wave Plus and the Leatherman Charge. Now, when you dig right down to it, I think I did hear that Leatherman maybe slimmed it down a little bit. But when you compare these side by side, like at the bottom and so forth, it doesn't look drastically different. The huge changes are that, or is rather, that the knife and the serrated blade and the regular blade both overhung the frame on the Wave Plus and the Charge a fair amount, giving a much bulkier appearance at the end. Now, the Wave Alpha slims that way down with the MagnaCut. You can see that that is gone. And then the serrated blade also is gone as well. There is no serrated blade on the outside. Instead, there is the saw. All these will be locking implements and the saw, and then the file, the diamond file on this side, the MagnaCut blade right there, and then the very large set of scissors, which is very cool. Very nice to see Leatherman finally add a nice set of scissors to the Wave platform. I think that's a huge improvement. So the thinner look of the design or the frame, I think, is a big upgrade. It definitely feels very minimal in the pocket. And then the other thing that you immediately notice is the G10 scales with the topographical type design. Now, the texture on these is not as bold or aggressive as I would think. It definitely has more of a plasticky feel to it. I believe Leatherman that it is G10, but I could totally see a lot of people thinking it's just plastic. Now, with the G10, the topographical design, I think, does help out with comfort in how you hold these and handle these. And also because of the G10, the design, the change in the tools, the knife, the overhang being gone, a lot of different people at least have said that the dreaded pinch feature has gone. So I'll have to carry this a little bit, see how it works out. I never really had a huge issue with any of the older Leathermans. I know some people have complained a lot about that, but that is something to keep in mind. So the next thing I think to talk about is the scissors. All right, so let's go ahead and start on easy stuff. This plastic should be very easy, and it does slice right through the plastic bag. And then there is this almost like thread. This is a very thin fiber from a chalk string right there, slices right through that, no problem. Let's move on to the paracord and let's see how that does. It actually does really nicely with the paracord. Wow, that seems to do really good with that. Now on the other side, I'm going to test the inner tube, the rubber inner tube right there. All right, so this is the double-sided inner tube. It does slice through that. Yeah, it seems to do fine through the rubber inner tube. Let's go ahead and this is a tow rope, like an 800-pound tow rope, I guess, from Home Depot. Yeah, slices right through the tow rope. Very good. And then finally, we do have the seat belt. Let's go ahead, cut through the seat belt, see how that works very nicely. Pretty impressed with these scissors. Now, when we look at the inside of the Leatherman Wave Alpha, I think it is interesting to note the change. So we still have the bit driver, the wire stripper, the can opener. Then on the other side, there is the lanyard hole, there is the awl, the screwdriver, and the micro bit driver. Now, instead of the scissors right here on the older charge, we now have the awl. Now, I recently listened to someone at a blade show talk to Leatherman, and they were talking about how different people like to use the awl, or they recommend them using the awl for tasks they would normally use their knife. And I thought it was fascinating that never once did the Leatherman representative talk about the awl as actually a leather working tool, because that's what I would think primarily it is, to be punching a hole through leather, and then the eyelet is for the thread. He talked about digging a hole, scoring, writing your initials on a tree, which I don't think is even allowed in a lot of places, but I guess if it's on your own land. So that's what he talked about as the uses of an awl, which is very unique. All right, so the awl is back in. That is a huge change along with the scissors on the Leatherman Wave Alpha. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the pocket clip. That is another big change in the Leatherman Wave Alpha. All right, so when we talk about the pocket clip has definitely changed. This is the old style, this is the new style. And then when you look at how they fit, this is the older, this is a donk pocket clip, but it's a copy of the Leatherman. The new one seems to sit down a fair amount more, and it also seems a lot more uniform, and I would argue it is stronger. Now, I heard someone say that Leatherman made this so that it would snap right here instead of your tool snapping. I had mine on my Leatherman Surge actually snap right here, unfortunately, so the pocket clip just fell apart. This one looks a little bit tougher, and so I do like that. Now, unfortunately, the wobble is still there. Now, I know that someone is working on fixing that, so I will keep you updated if I can get a clip that doesn't wobble, but so far from Leatherman, that wobble is there. Now, there are many different colors for this clip. I think there's about 4 different colors. I think maybe like the black, the silver, the brass, and then I think maybe another one, and then they can be etched so that you can have your unique design on there as well. It is an extra charge though. I think I paid an extra $15 to $20 per pocket clip. So yeah. All right, so let's talk about the next thing. The next thing really nice about this tool is the MagnaCut. It's not necessarily something I would have picked, but what I like about this tool is that at around $200, $199, it's essentially the same price as the Leatherman Charge Titanium. And I was sort of thinking the Leatherman Alpha would be a lot more than the Leatherman Charge, the previous version. So at least adding this MagnaCut feels like you're getting a fair amount of value. No, it's not titanium handles, but there already was a Leatherman Charge at around $200. So that MagnaCut does add value to the tool. Now, what are some of the negatives? Well, the first big negative is that there are no ruler markings. I think that's unfortunate on the Leatherman Wave Alpha. That's a big miss. So on the previous Leatherman Charges, yeah, they were right here. I don't understand why they're not there. I'm guessing Leatherman is just trying to save cost here and there, and that is one of the places they decide to cut costs, perhaps. Now, what's another negative? With some of these, I'm lumping different things together, and the next negative is that there's no accessories. So when I got my Leatherman box in the mail, this pocket clip was only here because I ordered it extra. Leatherman Alpha. And then, yeah, that's what you get, the tool and this. And then this little instruction manual. So no bit kit, no holster, just this tool without the pocket clip. I think that's a miss, especially at $200. It could have definitely come with a couple accessories. I think if you're going to add MagnaCut All the MagnaCut blade tools should come with a pouch and accessories. That just makes sense. Cut it on all the other ones, that's fine. But for the ones with MagnaCut, if you're trying to make a premium line, why make it premium without the accessories? I don't think that makes sense to me, but that's the choice that Leatherman has decided on. Several people have mentioned that Leatherman QC is not the same as it used to be. And I don't know if I can catch this on camera, but this is brand new out of the box. I just got this today, and my plier head has some fairly significant scratches on it. Looks like maybe where the handles are closing on the plier head or tooling marks. I'm not really sure, but it looks used from day one. It doesn't, and even over here, it looks scratched. And I'm not the only one, but several other people have mentioned this. And I think maybe I will talk about this in another video. One of you actually sent in some pictures of their Leatherman, and maybe I'll make a whole video of this and we can talk about this further, but that's something to consider. Also, the Leatherman plier cutter gap is still here. You can see that gap at the bottom. That's not changed. So maybe it seems strange, but overall, I do feel fairly positive about the Leatherman Wave Alpha. I really love the colorway. I love the design, and I love how it feels in the pocket. It seems like a very lightweight tool. I definitely would recommend this to those who are interested in it. Just don't expect it to be perfect. Even new, it will come with some blemishes, and you will be paying a lot more for a complete tool set than you ever did before from Leatherman.